Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Josh and then Chris.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Hey, Josh.
First time speaking with you since the matchup has been finalized. Just general thoughts on the Chiefs and also where were you able to watch the game on Sunday night?
Yeah, we watched the game at my house. We obviously stayed at the stadium for a little bit, took pictures with the family and things like that. Enjoyed the moment, and then really got back to the house around the second half. Had my parents there, my wife's parents there, my brothers, their families. My sister-in-law flew in, and her husband. He's actually from Kansas City, and that's where I met my wife. So he is not conflicted though. He is a Kansas City Chiefs fan, but he also knows that he comes to my house every Christmas, and so he's rooting for us now. But that's where we watch the game. As far as the Chiefs, obviously they've been really good for a long time. Great organization. Coach Reed's a great coach, and Patrick Mahomes, one of the best players in the world. Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, they got good players everywhere and really good coaching. So, we're just in our early stages of studying them. Having a couple weeks here, yesterday was more of a review the game day and doing some of the logistics things, and then with everything. But then today, we're in our early stages of studying the Chiefs, and that's where we are right now. But really good team, obviously, as you would expect, as they're in the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Dave.
Afternoon, Nick. How much do you rely on the previous experiences that the team went through in the 2017-2018 Super Bowl run and going to the Super Bowl? And how did you balance it with your own messaging and your own ideas for how to prepare for the week? And who have you talked to prepare for everything?
I've talked to a lot of different guys. A lot of people, obviously. Handful of guys were here as far as our players go for the Super Bowl in 2018. But there was a lot of people in the building, that were here as far as, the things and that's obviously an advantage schedule wise, things like that. I've talked to multiple different coaches. Kevin Patullo's helped me a lot with that as well. Being able to reach out to some of the other coaches that have went through this before. So we feel good. We feel good about our schedule, about what we're doing this week, about what we're going to do next week, and everything like that. But you just go through the process like you do with everything else and try to leave no stone unturned. When you're thinking about what's the best schedule for you as your team, and the year's different, right? The year's different. So we obviously have the schedule that the team used in 2018, but there's obviously going to be some adjustments and differences because the way we practice different. There's just some different things, and but just trying to not leave any stone unturned and do what's best for us as a team.
Go ahead, Dave, and then John.
Hey, Nick, with that said, what do you want to accomplish this week before you actually get to Phoenix?
Yeah, without giving too much out there, I mean, you're working on getting your game plan, a big chunk of your game plan done and practicing like a normal week. Knowing that the schedule when you get out there next week's a little bit different, right? And so you're going to try to keep everything as similar as possible, but we're going to keep the next 2 weeks as normal as we possibly can for our guys and in our schedule.
Go ahead, John, and then Bo.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, John.
I was wondering, obviously Kansas City was important to your career, and you mentioned your personal life there a little bit. You talked about it a while back, but when Andy came in and you got to meet with him, do you remember what went on in that meeting, and did you try to pick his brain as far as what kind of coach he was?
Yeah, that probably wasn't the time, so I didn't get a chance to there. It was kind of more so, just kind of receiving my fate there. He had a guy He was, I really admired that he pulled me into the office and asked to meet with me and told me, face to face that, he had a guy, but had heard good things about me. And I appreciated that. And his honesty, his ability to get to me as soon as he possibly could so I could move on and find another job. And so I didn't get a chance to pick his brain at all on anything like that, but got a ton of respect for Coach Reed and who he is as a person and who he is as a coach. His record speaks for itself, but I mean, you talk to anybody and they think even higher of him as a person. And so, do I know him all that well? No, but I have a high amount of respect for him.
Thanks, Nick.
We'll go to Bo and then Jeff.
Hey, Nick, I hope Taylor is enjoying her newfound fame. I want to ask you about the actual game planning process. I think you were asked about, handing over the play calling to Shane and said that the thing that you enjoy more is the game planning process during the week. Why is that?
It's just the process. It's the same reason that you enjoy the journey of the season more than maybe you enjoy just one particular game. Because it's just all about the journey. I love being in the game plan meetings, going and grinding and dissecting through all the film, and finding the little things that you need to find to help the players be successful, put them in good positions, help them understand the opponent. And so it's just the camaraderie with the coaches, the camaraderie with the players. When you go through that process together, we talk so much about connecting. That's a big important part of it, of the connecting, because you're tired together. You feel like your eyes are bleeding at times together. All our backs and our necks are messed up because we're sitting in these chairs looking at a computer screen. We're all that way together as far as coaches, and then kind of talking about the plan and discussing the plan and refining the details of the plans with the players who, we have really smart players that we talk through these things with and tweak things based off what they see as well. And so it's the grind that you love. It's the journey that you love. It's the camaraderie from the grind and the journey that continues to pull people together.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Rob.
Nick, just getting back to KC real quick. Was that more important for your professional or your personal life, your time there?
Well, I got to say personal life. I met my wife there. And so.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
But everything, obviously, meet my wife there and that will always be a special place to us because of that. And then professionally, right? My first stint in the NFL. Obviously, so it was really important both ways. Kansas City is a great town. We really enjoyed our time there. My wife had a lot of friends there. I made some good friends there as well. None of which I would assume that are rooting for us, our family this weekend, but that's okay. No, when you have something as significant as meeting your wife there in that city, that's always going to carry that place, that time frame, that city is always going to carry a special place in my heart because of that.
Was the wedding there?
No, it was in Springfield, Missouri, and that's where my wife's from, which is about, they're close to like Arkansas border, so it's like 3 hours southwest maybe of that. My geography is not great. Someone else might can help me with that.
Go ahead, Rob, and then Zach.
Nick, I heard Todd Haley tell a story of how you kind of stalked him at a YMCA to get to know him and ask for a coaching opportunity. Do you remember that experience, what it was like? And obviously he gave you your first shot in the NFL.
So somebody introduced Todd and I was home for a couple weeks in the summer, and Todd was there vacationing, and somebody that was at the gym said, "Hey, this is a local college receiver. He plays at Mount Union, and then, hey, this is the receiver coach." I think Todd was at the Jets right there. And so it all started off like, well, how do I make myself a better football player? That's where I first met Todd. How do I make myself a better football player? and Todd was very open to helping me out as far, and I really admired that he would want to help me out. And so I remember it started off at giving me some wide receiver drills to do, some things, talking through some routes and stuff like that. And then I turned into a coach, and just so happened to be a receiver coach, defensive back coach, and then receiver coach. And so then talking through that stuff with him as well. And that once I became a coach and figured out that was going to be my profession, then I think I had his number, text back and forth like that. And then he got a head job, and just I was lucky that he made me part of his staff. And so, and as far as the stalking goes, yeah, I mean, I think sometimes I would go there. And I wanted knowledge, right? You guys know me. I'll do anything to make myself better at what I do, whether it was a player or whether it was a coach. And so, I remember the times that he would go there, and I just so happened to lift some of the times there when he was there at those times. So, hey, it worked. It worked. So the same thing I say to my wife when she kind of says to me, like, when you first met me, you used the Chiefs card. You worked for the Chiefs. I said, hey, it worked. So whatever I needed to do to get my wife, whatever I needed to do to get in good with Todd Haley, I did both of those things.
Thanks, Nick.
We'll go to Zach and then Rube.
Hey, Nick, good afternoon. After the game, a lot of the questions were, big picture questions. But I guess as you think back to that game, what plays or moments jump out to you?
The whole thing, as far as just being an electric atmosphere, was really awesome. As far as just the whole atmosphere, the plays, I just felt like we were just very physical in the game. You really saw that throughout the entire game. You saw that. Excuse me, Zach. You saw that. With the first touchdown run, the combination blocks from Landon and Jason, and as well as Isaac and Lane. I mean, that really showed up. You saw just the physicality of our defense the entire day. Finishing off plays, and making, and there were some really good tackles our guys made, getting off blocks, and so. There was just, because we talked so much about being physical and physically, mentally tough and physically tough. There's just a lot of that popped up through the game. I know the game started with a really good kickoff return, and we had a pretty good start on that play with a combination block on one of their really good players to start us off. And so, those are the plays that stick out, because that was the thought all week of just how we're going to be mentally tough and how we're going to be physically tough, and hopefully do it for longer than they were.
Go ahead, Rube, and then Mike.
Hey, Nick, how's it going? You talk so much all year about keeping the process the same, keeping every day the same, focusing on the moment and not the past or the future. That's going to be really tough to do out in Arizona. Everything changes, like you said earlier. How do you impress upon your guys the importance of sticking to that process, even though with all the distractions you're going to face, all the national media, everything that happens Super Bowl week? How do you keep them in that focusing on the minute mode?
It's just like anything. I mean, you're gonna just preach it and talk about it, right? And because understand that it is real. Early in the year, I told you guys that, we do a talk about roles, what everybody's role is going to be, right? That's one thing you guys have talked to me about. I've talked to you guys. Another thing that we talk about is distractions. And so you say in distractions, and we'll probably give this talk again, but you say in distraction, our job is to get a little bit better each day, right? Is to climb. How do I get a little bit better each day? I don't need to think about getting way down the road here, but just how do we get a little bit better each day, a little bit better today? And our formula for that, right, we always talk about this, is practicing with high intensity, high detail and job description in the meeting, and full speed to the snap and walkthrough. Well, one thing that can stop you from getting a little bit better each day, even if you are doing those three things I just said, is distractions in the outside world. So we talk about that. And everybody's distractions look different, right? It's not everybody's distractions aren't the same. We all have different distractions. And so, we'll touch back on that and just understanding like, hey, what can stop you from doing this to go 1-0 each day so you can go 1-0 this week? Distractions can, because I already know exactly what to expect when we go out there and practice. Our guys are going to practice their butts off. I know they're all those different things, right? All the things I just said. It's just, how do we eliminate distractions? And it's hard, right? Because it will be hard. It will be a challenge. But again, when you're playing for something that's bigger than yourself, right? Because of the relationships that you have with the teammates that you have and the coaches that you have, then you're willing to sacrifice things, right? And that's the definition I talk about all the time. That's the definition. The greatest motivators love, and I know our guys love each other, and sacrificing things is one of the greatest indicators of love. So it's just, hey, how do we how do we know your distractions is the first thing. Try to eliminate them as much as you possibly can this week. With what's going on, so we can go 1-0 each day. I mean, that will be essentially the message of what we talk about, and it will be a repeat, and that's essentially a repeat message that we started the year with. And you say too things like, well, you guys have went to such great lengths, put your bodies through so many different things, sacrificed all these different things to get to where you are now. Let's see if we can continue to eliminate the distractions for these last 2 weeks, so we can reach our goals.
Go ahead, Mike, and then Howard.
Hey, Nick. First things first, I just want to point out that based on his rendition of the fight song, Jalen may heal faster than me, but he does not sing better than me. So just pointing that out. What is it that we don't see at practice, in the building, in team meetings, that makes Jeff Stoutland such a good coach?
High detail, high energy would be the first two things that really come to my mind. Trying to put the players in every position they possibly can prior to going out there, right? Putting their rules in place, putting their footwork in place based off the different looks that they get. High detail, high intelligence too, right? With being in there, have done that, understanding like what different looks will require them to do, putting the players in good positions with our run game plan, and then just high intensity that similar to what we talk about, like really that are common denominators with good players. High detail, love football. This guy loves football. Stout loves football. He's always here. He's always working. He's always looking, and he loves his guys. And he loves the guys on this team. It's not just offense linemen. I always see him talking to other players in this team because he knows how important it is to connect. But when he does love his offensive line so much that he's willing to go, and that's the whole point of everything we always talk about. He's so willing to go the extra mile for them because he loves them, right? And that he doesn't want to let them down. And that's the whole point. When you have these relationships, Stout's the epitome of this. When you have these relationships, you go a little bit further than what you ever deemed that you deem possible, right? You go further than what you thought your limits could reach because you're connected to to his offensive line. So, he just doesn't stop. He's relentless. Like, I always say this, good leadership, good coach, good coaching is when you know what I'm going to say. And there's a part of that to it too. Like, he's not going to get bored of, hey, if the step's off or if a technique's off or fundamentals off or a point or anything like that's off, like, you're going to hear about it. He's going to let them know. He's going to talk through it with them and go through there. And that's just going back to the detail. And I could talk all day here with Stout. Obviously one of the best coaches I've ever been around. And our guys greatly, the proof is in the pudding with it, with the development of his players of how good his players play for him and how good they want to do for him as well.
All right, we have time for two more, so we'll go to Howard and then Martin.
Nick, I know how you like to absorb knowledge to obviously move further and further along in everything you do. It's a game, but we know it's a big game. What is the best advice you or your coaches or anybody got preparing and getting ready for this game that you can use and maybe impress upon with the players?
It's going to go back to the same thing that we kind of started the playoffs with. Like, it is the next game, and don't try to make it too much. Like, don't try to make too much of it. As far as we understand the stakes, everybody understands the stakes, but our job is to literally look at the day of where we are right now and take the steps that we need to take today. Like, that's not going to change. I don't care. Like, this is the biggest game in football. We all know that. Like, it's the biggest game. It's the Super Bowl, right? It's the biggest game that anybody will ever play in football. We understand that. But when you start treating these games differently, that's when there's mistakes happen. That's when, you don't stick to the process of who you are and your identity as a team, your fundamentals, right? All the things we've been talking about all year. Like, to say that, and that's not to say scheduling. Like, you're going to do different things scheduling because next week's going to require different things scheduling, right? And so you try to go and talk to different people that have been here before, and just like I do, with everything, I try to talk to the experts that we have in the building on things, and then make a decision that's what's best for the team. But as far as just the overall everything that goes along with the game, that's halftime's different, right? So that will be a little bit different of how we do that. But like everything else, Howard, is just be as in the moment as possible and not think about the magnitude of the game, because it's just the next opportunity for us to get better for each other, to us to get better as individuals, and for us to go out and play for each other one more time this year, And so this is the last time this team will be together, but that doesn't mean you treat it any different. You go about it the exact same way. I can't wait to go up there and finish some of our first and second down plan that we're doing right now with the guys. But you just go through the same process over and over and over again. And if that's something I learned so much last year too, of just being 2-5. How are we going to climb out of this hole that we're in? One day at a time, one meeting at a time, one practice at a time, over and over and over and over again.
Thanks.
Last one here with Martin.
Hey, Nick. I wanted to take you back to the time when you guys played the Chiefs, like early in the 21 season. I think it was like week 4. Jalen threw for a career high 387. You guys kind of stayed toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, even though, you obviously don't have the roster or didn't have the roster that you do now. I was kind of wondering what you learned about Jalen from that game, just how he took it upon himself to kind of go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes and everything.
Yeah, I thought he played really good that game. Actually that was one of the things we're doing too right now, is just rewatching some of that, and just like I know they are, just watching some of the things that happened in that game. So, but you also see, Jalen. I thought Jalen played a really good game. I know everybody, did, and then just to see him how he's continued to grow each day since then, and that's some of the things you see there too. Are like, man, he continues to get better. He had a great game this day, but he continues to get better. And so, and that's the kind of guy he is. He just strives to get better, better each day. I don't have any particular plays that, stick out or anything like that from the game. Again, just watching it, looking at some things from it. But, just Jalen, his leadership, his ability to improve each day, you definitely see that. And, and you've definitely seen him improve since that day.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.